Good afternoon and welcome to the November 17th, 2022 meeting of the Fitchburg Historical Commission. I now call this meeting to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. Also ask anyone else in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing or stating their name and address. I don't think we have any guests. So I think we have certainly a quorum, and I think we're just missing Sam Blair at the moment, who might be calling in. And let's see. What I can do here, let me see if I can share my screen and bring up our agenda. First item on the agenda is a public comment period. Anyone in the audience with public comment? I see none. We'll move on to second item, review and approval of the minutes for the October 27th, 2022 meeting. Andy has sent out copies of the minutes. Do I hear any comments or corrections?
I have a correction. I was not here at that last meeting, so.
Right, you're listed as absent.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
it's been a long day. Sorry. You're right. I'm so sorry, Andy.
Our recording secretary is very efficient, so that's good.
Yes, sorry.
And Keith, I think you sent out a correction to item number 4.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, which was in item 4, line number 5, changing talks or dialogue to be dialogue on alternatives to demolition. That's and kind of looking over some other commissions meetings, sometimes it is at the end of it, it lists who recorded or the recording secretary was. That's an option if you want to, Andy. You could add your name to the back of it. So if anybody wants to find out any information, they can contact you instead of me. Your option. Okay. Any other amendments? Do I have a motion to approve as amended?
Yes.
You want to? Okay, Ellen. Why don't you go ahead, Ellen?
Yeah, I move to accept the minutes of the October 27th meeting.
I second the motion.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm in favor.
Aye.
Oh, Sam's there.
Hey, Sam.
I'm
Yep.
abstaining. I'm abstaining.
You're absent.
Yeah.
You're absent.
I'm absent. I am absent, Miss Lisa, apparently.
You're abstaining.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, item number 3, status of the Monument Park Local Historic District projects. The first project listed is the Public Library application for Certificate of Appropriateness. I think we've all received a copy of their application along with additional documentation of the work that they're proposing. Just to make it official that we are accepting their application to vote to determine if such an application involves any such features which are subject to approval by the commission. The commission shall hold a public hearing on such application. Do I have a motion to accept the application and to hold a public hearing?
I motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. This procedural piece. Just while we're on this, I think we've all received the packet and a PDF copy of their application and their set of architectural drawings that relate to the changes that are being proposed for the project. Subsequent to the receiving it, we've kind of come up with a list of things we think they might be missing in their documentation, and requesting that they try to add that to their documentation. Hopefully we receive that before the hearing date. And we've gone through the process of setting up a hearing date for November 29th. This month at 3 p.m. And this is going to be held in the legislative building next door to City Hall. And the library and their design team will make a presentation of what they are requesting review. And we will need to review it thoroughly and ultimately make a determination on what certificate that they could receive on this, or their certificate for appropriateness. These are fairly complex drawings. I have scheduled for anyone who would like to come to for this coming Tuesday at 2:00 at the library. I've asked the library if we could meet to take a tour of the building, kind of reviewing the what the characteristics of the building that kind of come under our purview as the Historical Commission, and kind of reviewing the items that are scheduled for demolition and any other pieces that they are that fall under the Historical Commission or the local historic districts review for certificate of appropriateness, which reviewing our design guidelines for Monument Park and the state Chapter 40C requirements of what our duties are. I thought that a tour would kind of help us take a look and kind of understand perhaps what they are proposing in their drawings. So I spoke with Deb Hinkle, the director of the library, and she said, yes, that would be great for Tuesday at 2. Also, Jeff Hoover from the architect's office will be there, as perhaps some other members from the library team that can join us. So I will, after we meet today, I will send a notice to the city clerk and actually post this building tour we're going to have, as we may have a quorum at this. So it'll be an official tour meeting, if you will, and just pretty much for informational purposes, so we can understand the changes that they're proposing, and perhaps a little bit more in-depth review of the drawings. If we want to today, the drawings are fairly complex documents, and I don't know if we want to, we can take a quick look at them today through Zoom, or we can wait till Tuesday to kind of go over them then, or both.
Pete, the tour is going to be next Tuesday, November 22nd, right? 2 p.m.
That is correct.
Okay. Thanks.
It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. The actual public hearing will be the following Tuesday, the 29th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And thanks for correcting me on that public notice that went out with the wrong date on it. So I was need to read a little bit more closely. Anybody want to review the drawings at this meeting, or shall we wait?
I don't mind waiting.
I don't mind waiting, as long as we're gonna, because as I mentioned to you, Keith, I was a little lost looking at them. But we can do it, we could do it Tuesday.
Okay, I suspect it'll be essentially the drawings have some renderings of what the buildings look like. The first floor plans or top views are the actual proposed areas that are going to be demolished and portions of the building that are going to be demolished. In general, this includes the from the Main Street side, the bookmobile addition, which is the appendage toward the right that next to the Fay Club driveway. It's a little bit lower roof line and includes the garage doors, et cetera there. Also included in the demolition are the looking from the Newton Place side or the east side of the library. The connector from the main two-story portion of the library, the connector and the children's wing and the auditorium and the courtyard that's faces into the children's wing are all scheduled for demolition as removal. And that comes under our purview. In place of the Newton Place demolitions, the connector and the children's wing and auditorium, there will be a new connector created and a new two-story addition that's on the main level of the library, and there will be a basement level under that with some with a lot of staff storage and workspace under that area. On the main level of that addition will be several public meeting rooms that will accommodate a large number of and it's meant to be opened after hours of the library, so the library could be completely cordoned off and doesn't need security while these public meetings are ongoing. Also, a rebuilding of the children's library that's much larger than the current children's library space is now. They're also intending to keep certain features of the courtyard that is just to the south of the main two-story library building. As you go into the library off of Main Street and you turn right and kind of go into the, used to be the card catalog area and the stack area, there's an opening or windows out into a courtyard area that has some sculptures. And I believe actually a piece of the 1885 Wallace Library foundation of the original building there, or some corner of it. And some other landscaping features there. So they are retaining some courtyard space in there, and I believe their intent is to keep keep some of the sculpture and some of the features of that courtyard as it is now, or similar to. They are creating different parking, as I believe right now there's a large staff parking area behind the bookmobile area, or I know there is. And this is going to be changed some because the rear addition, particularly the children's room area in the new rear addition, will be getting much closer to what is now Lucy's Barn, part of the Fay Club property, and will take up some of those parking spaces, which they looks like they're going to be recapping some of those parking spaces from their rendering anyhow, where the bookmobile addition currently is. We've asked for a more specific site plan that would show parking and any of these other features. And they said that they will be getting this additional information before the hearing date. So that's kind of a general look at it. They'll be replacing, they're proposing to replace a lot of glazing and windows in the 1960s main library portion of the building. Windows and window trim. They're also taking out some of the brick panel areas and making it more all glass areas, particularly on the northeast corner, which is at the corner that faces toward the Monument Park and Christ Church and Espresso Pizza area. So they're taking out some of those brick panels and making it more glass fronted library there, which could be an interesting feature to the building. But still maintaining the kind of unique inverted mushroom type structure of the roof structure of the main two-story building. Now that's kind of a recap as I see it. And on Tuesday, hopefully many of you can make it as possible, and we'll have an informal tour of the building to kind of see the features if we haven't been at the library for a while, and take a look at some of the characteristics of the existing architecture and historic or features of this particular building in the district. Yep.
I'm looking at their renderings of the exterior.
Yes.
And I'm looking at the way it used to be. And I'm looking at the corner of the building, Main Street and the side street.
Newton
And
Place.
as you say, they replaced a lot of the brick panels with more glass. They've also eliminated, there was a strong horizontal feature between the ground floor and the second floor that ran right along the facade. And in the new version, that's disappeared.
Okay, was that, okay, we can take a look at that on Tuesday. That's interesting.
Yeah.
To note. There is kind of features of that era of contemporary architecture where they were using, they used metal framed windows, kind of casement windows, if you will, that they're steel framed, they kind of crank out, and some of the other glass work and fixed glass beside them. It has a very narrow profile that is kind of very reminiscent or used a lot during the 1950s and 60s and perhaps into the 70s, kind of an industrial window type, if you will, that we can take a look at on Tuesday while we're there. And they're proposing to be replacing all the glass and operable sash with a new systems of probably for energy efficiency. And we'd like to take a look at what they're proposing on that. Any other comments on the library application?
No, but I'm very happy that we're going to have a tour.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. On item 3, the other Monument Park local historic district project is the Fay Club with their ongoing certificate of non-applicability, where they're doing repair and restoration to their building. It's kind of a brief update that they have done a lot of work on replacing or repainting and sealing around the existing windows and stained glass windows. They're replacing some of the foggy acrylic type of storm windows, storm panels that they put over the stained glass areas. Quite often in the upper portion of the windows are transoms, and I believe the large stained glass window at the stairway that faces the telephone building to the west, I believe they're replacing those foggy panels with a new replacement clear polymer type of to protect and provide some
protection.
It's insulation, if you will, to the windows. They're also replaced a lot of the putting back in place some of the original storm windows. Again, these are all being resealed and painted before they're putting them up, pretty much in-kind type of restoration work. They have started some masonry repair work, particularly at the twin chimneys on the east driveway side. This has turned out to, they're finding a lot of damage in this. They've done some initial work and repair on this, and they're waiting till now more warm weather, which will be in the springtime, to continue this work. And they are in the process of bringing on a masonry subcontractor who is, we believe, familiar with this type of work. I've had some initial conversations or email conversations with the contractor that they're proposing for the spring work, and they are looking to have a more lime-based mortar for their pointing of it. I think they understand the issue with historic mortars that do not, that originally did not have any Portland cement, which is a very hard, strong cement that's not compatible with the existing mortar that tends to swell and absorbs water differently. They seem to be aware of this, and they're making proposals for finding a compatible lime-based mortar mix. So we'll continue on that in the spring when they start working on that. I believe currently they've also made some restoration work at the side entry where they've replaced some of the wooden supports and filigree work at the side open entry going into the club. So a lot of that has been in process, and I suppose it will be slowing down over the cold weather. Update on the number 4, update on historic building demolition delay. I don't know if we have any updates.
Well, I just want to make it clear, as I think the draft of the demolition delay ordinance states, is that if a building is determined not to have any historic value, there is no delay. It just proceeds through the regular process.
Right, and just to kind of reiterate on that, the demolition delay as it's our current draft has it, and as most communities that do have demolition delays, that it's a fairly swift process when there is an emergency, certain like a fire or something in certain buildings, and where the building is relatively quickly determined to not have any specific historic value, that demolition can proceed without the delay.
Exactly, but what the kind of building that the demolition delay ordinance has in mind is, for example, the Johnsonia, where, yes, it's possible, it may have been determined that it should be demolished. On the other hand, there was no public
No, it
meeting.
wasn't.
There was no discussion, there
No.
was no options proposed, which could have been done fairly quickly. Instead, that someone somewhere decided it should be demolished, which is a loss for the city. So this is what the demolition delay, and anybody who says otherwise is just wrong. It's just wrong.
And also it's a vote too, so we could vote against it as well, so
Exactly.
you never know.
It wouldn't just be done without consideration and all the necessary action or inaction that we should be involved in.
That's right.
I did speak with Susan Navarre about our 2 ordinances,
Yes,
and she's saying we could come to their next board meeting around January 18th and discuss our demolition delay and stonewall preservation ordinances to present it to the Historical Society Board.
When would that be, please?
January 18th. I'm not sure the
That's all right.
date. It might be a Wednesday.
That's
It's always on a Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, Wednesday.
what time?
Jan 18th, usually 5:30.
Yeah, I'm on the board.
So you can tell us.
And he's good at it.
Okay,
So Susan did add that as an agenda item to that next meeting.
Okay, that's
Um,
good.
So hopefully we can put together a little presentation of these 2 ordinances, get the word out a little more.
yes,
That's great, Andy. Thanks for
Wonderful.
helping to set that up. Yeah, I think that would be a good place for presenting and getting feedback and possible support. So that's good. I think having maybe getting draft, I don't know, thinking about this, should we get draft documents to them ahead of time? Exactly how should they be worded, and maybe a summary of a written summary of what the intent of each one of these proposals is, and with an ask for comment and possible support.
Yeah, that sounds good. If we could get them some kind of summary document, maybe at least a couple of weeks before the meeting. Something like that.
Is that something, Don, you and Andy could maybe work on?
yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Okay, that would be great. It would be great.
I also can I add, I also think including how other communities do it.
Yes.
We're not an
Yeah.
isolated community.
Right. You've already gotten a lot of that.
I've gotten some of that.
Yeah.
And incorporated them into the Stonewall ordinance as well. So, but you're right, to have examples that we could present would be a good idea, because it's one thing to say, oh, other communities have these ordinances. It's another thing to show what the ordinances are in these communities.
It sounds like a PowerPoint.
It does.
And that might be, to having visuals and so forth, that as we're making the presentation, it might be helpful to kind of get the point across. So something to think about. All right. Great. I think that's a good positive step. Number 5, preservation historic stone wall structures. Same thing.
Big thing. Ditto.
Same thing, and also trying to get together an article for their next newsletter.
That's right.
That's still ongoing.
Okay, correct. That sounds good. I'd like to Can you see my photo?
Yes.
This was, I just last week took a couple pictures. This happens to be Spring Street, just up above Pritchard.
Yes.
As it zooms up the hill, but we see two different types of stone walls. A definite retaining wall, and this probably quarried stone from the quarry, and which is fairly rough at this particular area, but it's certainly holding the hillside up so that this house could be here. And also the one up, I can't remember this street, and you guys can tell me, but here's a much more
Street.
Yeah, much more finished wall surrounding the property, and kind of raised it up so they have a level lawn out in front of the building. Just a couple quick examples. This, just as a locator, this is next to BF Brown. This is the city stables, which is part of the renovation project that New View and their partners, the Art Museum, et cetera, are proposing for artist housing and new housing. Wonderful old building, and this is to be restored. But just to the right of this is High Street, which runs along up here. And this is all kind of fenced up and overgrown now, but just looking at the height, this is a dry laid stone wall that holds High Street up there. It must be 30 feet high at this point. Magnificent structure in our city. That in this place, it's just a retaining wall holding up one of our roadways. Where High Street, I think, used to come into Mechanic Street, there was also some stone wall stuff over there that deteriorated at one time and is falling in on a house. But this is Fitchburg, and you don't see this in Leominster or Townsend or whatever. This is some unique qualities of our city here. So obviously,
I fell in love with that wall when I was in B.F. Brown. I mean, I just couldn't imagine how that could have been built.
Yes.
And that a whole community, because there were a lot of Finnish families and kids came, who lived up there. And I thought it was just something, like not a castle, but something extraordinary.
Yes.
Yes. So a lot of stonework in our town. Okay.
The other wall, just in case if anybody's driving, if I may have mentioned it, but the one that holds Laurel Street up when you're coming from Kimball Street towards downtown.
Yes,
that
huge.
wall is
That's monumental.
Oh God, it's really fabulous.
And if you do
a little curve to it too.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And if you do go into the cemetery above, it's amazing. There are walls just like this in the cemetery that are holding at the upper part of the hilltop portions of it from the kind of lower part of it, just as it's, and then you drop off, look to the right, and you see the huge retaining wall that drops off down the Kimball Street. So there's multiple levels of these huge big stone walls and smaller retaining walls to create, burial ground on this very steep slope of the city. Interesting stuff. So it's all around us, and we just take it for granted right now, but or marble, but mainly granite. Yeah, thank you.
We marvel at it.
All right. Now I'm still trying to get to my. Okay, agenda items. All right.
Well, thanks for that, Keith. Thanks for the pictures.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and in our presentations, maybe having some reminders of the fieldstone walls, the pound, the late 18th and 19th century structures, and kind of the latter 19th century structures that we see all about us, and probably some early 20th century structures that are kind of unique to it, and how we, as a commission, make our community aware of these as being unique to our community, and how can we recognize them and hopefully preserve them. So, okay, number 6, update on Simon Saw and Steel.
I haven't heard back from Annie. But I will continue to pursue.
Okay, thank you. Number 7, historic districts, update on historic district information brochure that was started last year. We are still close. I don't have any updates on kind of the final process. I have emailed a couple times to our graphic artist who's helping us with this, and hope to make contact soon. So we want to keep this going. So I don't have any further information on that. Wallace Building entry stones. I believe, Megan, you had helped show a few people of the.
Yeah, yep. So Ellen and Andy came and looked at the stones along with Sharon Bernard from the library committee. And yeah, I mean, they just came to look at it and there they were.
Well, we did. Sharon, I think Sharon found the one that I was looking for that has R and W on it for Rodney Wallace. And it's facing another one that's, you know, another stone.
It's sandwiched between.
Yes, but it is something.
Yeah,
and Sharon was glad that, well, actually it was Andy who made that point. And I called her.
I did, yeah. But it doesn't matter. But so hopefully they use them, but otherwise I don't know if they'll use them all, but there's still a lot of pieces in there.
Well, you know, I'm going to call Lenny Loxo, because some of the, you know, looking at some of them, they probably, some of those stones could probably be used in some reconstruction or something. You know, the plain ones, the ones with the design, you know, I wouldn't expect that they'd be interested in those, but maybe the ones that are just, you know, stones that supported something.
They make great park benches, or you know, bases to park benches, or benches themselves, or something. They're huge.
Yeah.
But Donna and Charles and Keith, if you want to come and look at them anytime,
yes,
he's coming.
Are they still in the same place? Megan, are they still in the same place that they've been for years?
Yeah, they're in building 3. I call it my mini Stonehenge. Yeah.
I went in and looked at them probably 10 years ago. I remember taking pictures of them.
Yeah.
But you said they have to be moved soon, correct?
Yes and no. We do have a PNS signed for the building, and things are going very slowly on them fully purchasing the building. They have 3 months to pull the trigger on that. So if they didn't do it within 3 months, we don't have to worry. But in 3 months, if they do, we'll have to find another location for them, at least, to store them.
Right. I mean, worst case scenario, you could just put them on some pallets out back, right? Or no?
Well, they're demolishing. They're also demolishing. Part of the agreement is to demolish the power plant. So there's going to be a lot of activity back there.
I see.
For a while. So if it all happens, but maybe I could make some benches on my property with
yeah.
I don't know.
That would the demolition go behind the probably where your current offices are and the registry of deeds?
There's a decommissioned power plant on our property that has been not used since 1998. So it's demolition by neglect right now. So is it part of the historic district?
No, it is not, but it is, I think, is, what's right behind it? Is the railroad right behind it, or is the river?
Yes.
The river's right behind it.
Both, yeah,
Both are.
yeah.
I'm just thinking it as a development area. This is, in some communities, we call this prime riverfront property. It is floodplain also, but its value of being close to the water, just like a riverfront park is, where they've done, steps down to the water's edge, being able to access. Right now, it's a large flood wall, big concrete flood wall that runs behind there, I believe. But there's other ways of kind of mitigating the flood piece, actually giving a little bit more flood space into it. And other uses that could be entertainment, recreational, restaurant type of things like that. I'm just wondering if, because it is riverfront, and if it were in Cambridge or some other spot, or even downtown Cleveland now, the Cuyahoga, we could compare it to the Cuyahoga River that used to be on fire, is now a lot of great night spots and entertainment and prime real estate types of space. So just, I don't know how this fits.
So
with
the plan is not to be as exciting as that. We're actually demolishing the building to make way for more parking, because there's going to be new industry in the building if it happens. So we'll need more parking availability. So
okay.
Would they be tearing down that building 3?
Just
if they buy it?
no, they're using it as a shell. They're
Just use it.
actually building a clean room inside and to do indoor agriculture. Yeah.
That sounds pretty.
Yeah, it's for lettuce and
Yeah.
for wholesale and like Market Basket and Wegmans. Yeah. Don't know if it's gonna happen. 6 years from the making.
Really?
Yep.
Still not.
Oh, that's good. All right. Historic markers, new sign maker. I'd like to pass on that. I don't have an update on that yet, and we have no applications at the moment, so we're okay at the moment.
Where did we leave off on? I'm sorry, we can pass.
We have a selected the New Jersey firm has been selected, and I need to verify how that we can do payment, and we can have a kind of our approval control over the wording, et cetera, before they're actually put up. So it's just something I've dragging my feet on. So. And any other questions on that?
No.
And number 10, possible project to document and share Main Street building histories, historic districts, tax credit, and other restoration reuse incentives.
I have just requested some new maps from the engineering department, and I'll have something to show you next time.
Terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Look forward to seeing that.
Charles, excuse me just a minute. Charles?
Yeah.
If you could give me a time, I could get in touch with you, or you could call me. I would appreciate if you would take one picture of one of the buildings that will be, that will be featured, a building that's in one of the historic districts, so that I can make a mock of.
What is this for? What is this for?
Well, we still will have 6 historic districts on Main Street or adjacent. And I've kind of come up with an idea of how we can help the city with their economic development and making, you know, having available information about the buildings that are you know, are within, that make up the public, not the public buildings, but the privately owned buildings that make up that contribute to the district, the particular district. And, you know, advising that they are historic, they're part of the district, that historic tax credits are available. And I just would like to do a mock-up of one. If you could,
yeah, you can call me.
Give me a call.
You can call me.
Why don't you call me?
I will.
Because I'm always there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Terrific. Sounds like a good piece. New business. We have this week's fire at the old YMCA building at 533 Main Street. My understanding is, and I think Charles lives next door there, is that a lot of the windows have been broken out and there's probably some internal water damage to the building. And it is a building in the Monument Park Local Historic District. And it'll be a shame to see it torn down as across the street the Johnsonia was after such an incident. So I think as a commission, we should certainly react to this in some fashion and kind of open that up to discussion if anybody has any thoughts.
Megan?
I'm not an authority on this or anything. I've been in conversation with the owner on a couple of occasions. And from what it sounds like, when he did come in after the fire happened, it sounded like he was going to keep the property as is. He said it needed to be gutted anyway. So that was his, which I thought was actually a little positive, despite what happened. So I think he's going to keep the shell and redo the inside, which is hopeful. Yep. He was looking to, prior to the fire, and it's probably going to continue to add 2 more stories to it. So just be aware of that, because at one time, I guess there was there was 2 or 3 more stories. It was. So he was planning on adding those and staying in line with the historical and architectural integrity of the property, just to make more housing units available. But that's all I know, and all the information I told you earlier this week too. So.
Okay. I don't know, is that coming up on your screen?
I see a postcard there.
Yeah. The building on your left with the kind of a corner classical column was a corner entry to the building. The tree's in the way, you can't see the upper portions of it.
You can see some of the decorative, brownstone.
Yeah, this first floor has more kind of a glass and aluminum storefront pieces to it, and it's been, this column I believe is gone, et cetera. So but certainly the corner bay is still here, and a lot of the brownstone and brick features along this section are still here. Let me see if I can find another.
Where the big arch is, that was a staircase going up to the YMCA. You know, I think there are 2 ladies standing in front of it. And that's where we all went, you know, because I used to belong to the whatever the women's YMCA was.
Was it on the top floors or something?
Um,
Was it on the top floor?
No, it was on the second, I think the
Second
second and
floor?
third floor. I don't remember. I mean, I remember that it was a taller building.
Yeah, I remember it having another floor or
Right.
it had some more decorative pieces around
Right.
nearby.
But that the staircase was enclosed. I mean, open, but enclosed, and you know, went up those stairs to the entrance to the Y.
Mhm.
And then Worcester County Institute for Savings occupied the store. I mean, the front, you know, the front on the corner of Fox and Main. But that was years
We had a
ago.
bank there. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this picture.
That's another view looking up. Is that Fruit Street there?
Fox
Fox.
Fox Street, yes. And the church that's behind there just
That
shows.
was the Methodist church.
Hey, that's my parking lot now.
Yeah. That's where you're getting your religion from. That's good.
Yeah. I have a nice view of Christ Church though.
Yeah.
Church.
There you go.
Yeah, oh, it's stunning. It really is stunning.
Yeah, it was when they first built it.
And I
So,
you
yeah,
know,
go ahead, Ellen.
no, I was gonna say, on the Main Street side, the other building is where Park Snows was. And I'll have to check with Kenny. There's been so many changes to that building. And I don't know if part of it was torn down, I've forgotten. But this was just stunning.
Yeah, this is an H.M. Francis building.
Yes,
Also interesting to see the changes that have been made to Christ Church on this
yes.
side of their property. There's now a tower and other features there where the chapel has been moved or whatever. Interesting lattice work type of
Yes.
do here.
It was kind of Tudor-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least that's what I thought of.
Yeah, rebuilding the top 2 floors on it would be ambitious work. Certainly probably could be done. It looks like it had foundations to do it. Interesting open balcony up on the top here. So I'm not sure how the city will be involved with this. With community development, the mayor's office, city council and things to help kind of support any work on this. It seems though, as part of the district, you know, what can we do, if anything, to help highlight the importance perhaps of this building, even the bottom floors of it, as rather than having a more parking lot, if you will, or it's on an appropriate piece. Being part of the district, we do have a little bit more, we certainly have more governance, if you will, perhaps including any future changes to it, probably including demolition also, that it would need to perhaps come before the commission. So I think my initial thoughts are that perhaps that we should contact
The owner?
certainly the building commissioner, the mayor, maybe city council, and community development department of, you know, just reminding everyone of the status as part of the district, and certainly our support, and looking for, you know, overall support from the city to help this not become damaged by neglect anymore, if you will, and particularly with all the windows gone and certainly some interior damage and water damage inside, to, you know, finding ways of seeking some help and relief to get this turned around. You know, getting it into a point where it's recognized for the value that it could have. It certainly does have, and what it could have to the community. So, any thoughts on action that we maybe should do early on here to just increase awareness of this?
Maybe this could be the practice building for what we're talking about in number 10.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Charles,
Yes.
if you'll kindly take a picture of the building, maybe a couple, one looking at it from Main Street to Fox, and then one, you know, face front.
Right.
And we can see if we, because one of the suggestions that I had was that we would at some point ask the city to go through the building and make a list of things that would have to be done to, you know, to make it livable or whatever, but it would be done in priorities, a priority list, so that the owner or the new owner wouldn't be, you know, hit with huge expenses at the beginning. I would imagine that the building department and their inspectors would go through it.
Yeah. Somehow making this a city-backed project to because of the emergency status of it, that
priority,
that, you know, working with the owner in ways of you know, making this happen sooner or later, certainly preserving what is there, and kind of repurposing the building as kind of the intent has been, perhaps without the funding and wherewithal at the moment. So.
Well, one of the things that I was going to talk about at the new issues, I can't remember who came to our meeting, or if someone came before the Moran Square project started. You know, it was between, the project is between the Syndicate building and the fire station, which are both, you know, contributing buildings to that district. So, Sam, do you remember if you wrote a letter for that project?
Either Sam did or I did. Sam?
Yeah, I'll look through my records and see if I can find anything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can't remember whether I did.
Yeah, I've
I almost think you did.
Yeah, I've followed up on several of those every 6 months as they're still seeking tax credit viability, as is kind of required for all these projects that are kind of ongoing. It's a periodic check-in and support letters to keep them on the several-year process of actually granting the tax credit request, and they really don't get it until the building is actually finished also. So we have been doing that. It's usually when the developer has the architectural plans and design, and they're actually making their initial applications for both state and federal tax credits.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be done by a single owner, and sometimes it's done through more of a syndicated type of ownership sharing, if you will, to be able to share all of the tax credits, depending on the size of the property. Obviously, this could be certainly a multi-million-dollar project, as most of these housing renovation projects are. and they can be very lucrative, and how this would work and fit into something like that. So,
well, I wondered if we could contact someone who is doing the work in Warren Square and ask them to come in for a visit and tell us how they're doing. That might give us an idea of the process that they're following. It could be helpful to the owner of the YMCA building. Could we do that?
Yeah, I think that's possible. Or basically, there's a lot of information online on the process and things. So it could be, maybe they would be interested also as investors and people working with projects like this, to get the word out that this is certainly critical and eligible, and certainly would have a lot of city support behind it. And looking for if the current owner has the investment capability or additional partners in the process to kind of help something like this grow.
Well, do you want me to find out who the contact person would be?
I know who it is.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
I can do that.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
If everyone.
Thank,
Yeah.
Okay, Megan, thank you.
that's wonderful. Thank you.
So you would like him to come to our next meeting if it's available?
Yes, please.
That'd be great. All right. Other new business?
Are we at the end of the minute? Are we at the end of the agenda?
Just about, yes.
I just wanted to just throw out about the Monument Park railings to get added to the next agenda. I don't want us to forget about that. I will try to go to the senior center and meet with the person there to find out if they have the molds for the railings in the basement there. If
It
not,
was there.
if not, then we need to move forward and not think about the molds anymore to hold us up, and they'll have to make new molds at some point, but I just want it on the agenda for next time.
Megan, do you know who is the director of the Parks Division of DPW now?
I met him, but I can't remember his name. He left.
Oh, he did?
He left like 6 months ago.
Oh,
there's a new gentleman, but I can't remember. I'll find out. I can find out.
Okay, I was maybe kind of following up on Charles's piece that I think we would be working with them because it would become their project as part of the DPW's divisions, I think.
yes.
And, it's certainly, I'd like to have them in on the coordination with us, that we're because it's going to be coming out of their budget work and so forth, and working with the division chief on it, the parks, and also the head of the DPW, Eric. Can't think of his last name.
Erickson.
Yeah, Erickson. So it'd have a kind of a coordinated piece. So we're all kind of working on this together, but yes, definitely. Let's bring this back up and get some action on it.
And Keith, you also had done some research about the base of the monument needing some attention, and I don't want that to get forgotten about either.
Right, and it could be certainly, perhaps at the same time. Good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And one last new business, just looking forward to January, our meeting in January, we'll have election of officers. chair and secretary. So looking for volunteers. And I think, and so the next, and the last item 12 is the next meetings. And we just added the tour of the library for next Tuesday, November 22nd at 2 p.m. at the library. And I will post this on the city's website as a tour meeting. And next is the public hearing for the library project on November 29th at 3 p.m. This will be in the legislative meeting building. And our next regular meeting, which was moved from the last Thursday in December because of the holidays, we've moved it up to the 17th of December, 3 p.m. At our current meeting room space.
Keith, can you say that date again, please, for the next meeting?
December 17th.
Thank you.
3 p.m.
December 17th is a Saturday.
Indeed, it is.
Did you mean the 15th?
Perhaps.
Because the following Friday would be the 23rd. Well, the following Thursday would be the 22nd.
Right. That's getting a little close. I think it was the 15th. And is the 15th good with everybody? And I will get back to verify it, make sure we have the room.
It's fine.
Right.
Okay. I think it was just a typo here. So I was happy with today's the 17th time. I'm losing it slowly, so.
That's okay. I'm glad we caught it.
Teaching me on it. Okay.
On the Monument Park railings, are those in need of repair or replacing?
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll let Keith explain it, but yeah, we had done quite a bit of just going down to the Monument Park and making a diagram of each little section that needed attention. And this has kind of been going back and forth for a few years because there had been extensive remodeling of the railings done in the early 2000s. And there were molds made for each of the pieces that needed to be recast. But every time we try to revisit repairing the monument railings, the molds come up and nobody can find them. so anyway, I'll let Keith take over. He's better at explaining it than I am.
Yeah, besides the granite base it has, they are cast iron and they come with the original design in the early 1870s after the Civil War as a monument for it. So these are cast iron. The replacement items obviously need to be cast iron. And some of the damage is caused by a couple trees that have fallen with large branches that have actually broken the cast iron railings and some of the balusters below. Majority of the damage is happening from rust that's happening at the bottoms of the base where the cast iron is kind of square sectioned of the balusters. Those are the posts in between, where they are actually resting on the granite base that runs along underneath the wall. And it's kind of rusting up from the bottom, and there's some spalling and cracking of these bases, some of them the original ones, some of it happening on the newer replacement ones from the early 2000s that were put in there. Charles and I noted that it seems to be of these baluster bases getting excessive rust. They're mainly along the Main Street edge and along the Wallace Avenue edge. And it seems to be pretty much on the sidewalk side, starting more intense on the sidewalk side than on the grass or the landscaping side that's actually in it. One cause of the additional rusting might be spray coming from chemical treatment during winter time, or salts and solvents and things that are used for ice melt that tend to accelerate oxidation of iron and so forth, and the cast iron happening. So we'd like to replace the damaged ones, obviously, and also kind of a sideways piece to see if the city could change up to a less oxidizing type of agent or more sand or something like that, and those particular areas to help protect the buildings. And some of the other buildings, even the Armory building, particularly around the entry, there's a lot of deterioration of the red brick that's down by the sidewalk level that is probably caused by chemical absorption of the salts into the brick, which tend to absorb a lot of salts, attract extra moisture inside the body of the brick, and they tend to spall off and get damaged too. So anyhow, that's a little background on it.
Thanks.
And the monument base, I think the three statues are in pretty good shape, although we could have someone from the art museum, such as Nick, come down and take a look at them to verify this. But the kind of concrete perimeter base, that it's a series of 3 or 4 granite steps going up on all 4 sides. The granite is moving about. These large slabs of granite are shifting and tilting, etc. And probably should be reset and perhaps remortared in place or sealed to kind of keep the water damage from happening to those pieces. That's the second part of it.
Oh, and then the third part was talking to the city about reinstalling park benches.
Correct.
I got some stones for you if you want.
Say that again, Megan.
I got some stones if you want to make some benches.
Good one.
Well, we could ask Monument Park to make them. I mean, Money Check, excuse me. Money Check.
That's a great idea. There were park benches in Monument Square, Andy.
You remember those.
that were removed. Geez, I don't even know how many years ago it was now. Maybe 5 years, maybe a little bit more. Because to deter homeless and vagrants.
Yes.
And the city promised us at the time that they would reinstall new benches, but that with armrests inside so that people couldn't lay on the benches. But of course, and of course the new benches never materialized. And they, at the same time, they had removed all the shrubbery so that the police could see into the park. But anyway, they never followed through on replacing some of the things. So I just figured, well, we're talking about Monument Park, I'd bring it up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it'd be good to the design of the benches is appropriate with the scape of the design of the park. So, yep, good. Other comments? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, very good meeting. We'll see you on Tuesday if you can make it.